So, a UFO crash landing site. To really represent the fact that it's crashing, you kind of want to have it kind of come in at an angle. Like we could build a UFO just like flat on the ground here, but that doesn't look like a crash. That more looks like a landing. I suppose it's a crash landing. So the first step you want to pick, we're gonna pick our blocks. Definitely gray. I mean, can't really know what a UFO would be made out of, but we're gonna take our best guess. Like slabs, because we're building something that's kind of some like compressed and flat. So we're just gonna grab a variety of stone blocks here and just kind of imagine that, say it came from this trajectory, it's gonna come in like that's a poor way of doing this, coming in like this. So now we can go in, kind of build a flat-ish disc. Doesn't look very flat right now, but sort of like this kind of is our general concept, right? General shape. This looks, frankly, really bad, but that's just part of the process. So let's say we're going to rim it up slightly with this to add a little bit of detail. We want to try to make it circular, but also we got to, so you're trying to represent how it's slightly off kilter. So do something like that. That looks pretty good, but no, actually it doesn't look very good. But this side looks good, this side doesn't. But we're going to incorporate that into our design going forth. So now this is where we can maybe start to use the slabs a little bit, kind of just adding sort of like some garbled, thing about UFOs is that there's no possible idea of what they could ever actually look like. So we're just making educated guesses here. And we're going to start to raise this up because, the classic depiction of a UFO kind of has like that little dome up top. And I think we're going to represent that here, this build. So it looks not too bad here. It's not at a angle, hasn't been represented too well, but that's what we're going to try and come in down here and do. Basically, you just want to try and slowly have it slope up throughout it. And I'm gonna grab some polished andesite slabs, if I can find them. Some polished andesite slabs, kind of raise up this rim right here, pop up these blocks right here, because trying to really create the fact that this is slanted into the ground. It's not just a poorly built disc, but splitting hairs here. That's kind of what it is. So we're selling the fact that this is slanted, but we're not really selling the fact that it's crashed in here. So you want to remove dirt to kind of create like a crater, but at the same time, you also want to add dirt and kind of have dirt around it, kind of like it exploded off like shrapnel. Not really shrapnel, it's more just stuff flowing out of the landing site. Yeah. And time to get some glass in. We got to go like green, just very alien-y colors, I suppose. So we got a dome looking like this. I know it's a crash landing, but I think it's kind of vital to preserve the dome on at least part of it to maintain its shape, because over here it's kind of going to be block vomit and you're not really going to be able to tell what's going on. So I'm trying to just give it some structure to give it some identifiability. And here we need to come in, we need to represent the rest of it, but it's crashed, so it's not going to be in whole parts. You can kind of take the chunks that would be filled in if you were building it whole, and you can kind of build them off on their own to not just, again, block vomit. It's kind of the term I'm using. Here we're going to put up the rim, but maybe not, don't have to complete it in all places because, crashed UFO. I don't know if it's going to be in tip-top shape exactly. So just trying to get around the fact that, stuff's a little bit all over the place. That's why slabs are great. I really don't like how you can see that there. I don't know about that. So here we go. This dirt under here is I think adds best to have this thing kind of floating out a little bit. really kind of sets into the crater. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. That came in there. I think with the force that this probably came into the ground, that it was able to bury itself in, there's going to be more buildup over here because of that. So I'm kind of going to build up sort of a berm of dirt and grass up here to represent the way this thing kind of just shelved its way in. You're building something like this that's representing motion. You have to understand what the motion would cause if you're wanting better realism. Yeah, that looks a lot better there. And another thing is you got to think of the path, what destruction it would do here. So since it's floating up here, it's not going to cause much. But down here, some stuff's going to get bumped around, and I think maybe this wouldn't be dug in, but changing this to coarse dirt, having a UFO come through here is pretty rattling. So I think coarse dirt generally should just be applied all around this site. That's what we're going to do. Because realistically, expecting grass to stick up around after an event like this is a little crazy. And also, coarse dirt just kind of can be used to texture dirt. I know it's putting lipstick on a pig, but you gotta do the best you can. All right, so been neglecting the dome. I think this is where we add a couple of just shattered pieces kind of around. Glass is hard to represent the tiny little shards, so I think that'll be good. Now is this could represent alien crash site. You could leave it at this, but this doesn't have very much life to it. So I think first thing is bringing in something that has light. And I'm thinking lava is like a liquid oozing out. So copper torches, that could work. Ooh, shroom light, that's very alien. So we're looking for light blocks that are kind of unusual. End rods. End rods would be perfect for this because they're very unconventional, and they can also serve as sort of like antenna. Gotta find a solid block to place them on. So not only do they effectively light up, bring some color, they kind of act as a mysterious piece of alien infrastructure on our build here. Maybe have them pointing out. So the shroom lights, I'm kind of thinking this could be part of the creature that escaped out, because see how it's like kind of interconnected of sorts. We can start doing like a creature that's slowly leaching its way out, and that's why I like the crimson wood, because it's got these kind of like veins to it, and I think trying to represent whatever this thing that is spreading out from the crash with it works very well, because it looks like some veins. So I know I just went in and precisely placed all this coarse dirt, but too bad, so sad. We got to make this thing look cool. So right now we're keeping this legs pretty low down. I'm gonna set one up to shoot through the back here, because that will add a little bit of variation needed. See, that paid off, because now what we can do is add a little part that pops up out of the ground, kind of like the Loch Ness monster. We're gonna add another one peeking through here. We'll connect that up, and you can start having it interact with the ship. It doesn't have to just spread out on the ground. It can play around with the stuff that we just built here, because it's potentially, maybe in this case, the crash was on purpose, and it needs to start spreading around as soon as it can. So that looks pretty cool there. The shroom lights, when you place them together, they don't really act as what I was hoping. So I think I'm going to do is spread them out, and then maybe do magma. Looks very nethery, but I do think the nether blocks in this case serve as a very good kind of, especially with the fact of their animated texture. All of these have animated texture, and it really helps. I don't know about the shroom lights, but kind of adds to the aliveness. So I placed these two in rods in here to kind of act as like a control panel, but I don't know if it really kind of looks a little out of place. So for kind of control panel, with the classic levers, it's like a little so it's helpful to actually grab the item, and then a comparator. And comparators work really well here because to me they are extremely alien. I have no idea what they do. And actually, looking at this little light, there's no real little tiny lights like that in Minecraft. I put the end rods, but they don't serve as what I was thinking. So actually, I'm going to dot these all around to act as the little tiny lights that a lot of UFOs are always depicted as. You know, we can make a lot of assumptions about UFOs, but we really don't know what they look like. So take this all with a grain of salt. It's a artist's interpretation. So you see, to me, that adds a lot of color, like a light color to it. We want light, but not just from the end rods. I think one final tentacle, that's what these are, it's going to pop out. We're going to have this one, climb up a little bit. And then this is really coming together pretty well. I will say it's kind of losing the crash site with just all the tentacles all over the place, but that's a necessary evil. I'm going to start adding some campfires, and we're going to get some hay bales. The reason campfires, of course, have a wonderful smoke animation, and kind of representing something didn't exactly get a plan here. I want to bury that one deeper. Wow, so one slab it is, apparently. So that's why we keep these slabs on hand, because campfires otherwise would not be able to peek their smoke out. Might look a little out of place, but the smoke detail really does add a lot. I think I'm going to come back in here and kind of lead a trace in path, kind of representing where the thing came from. Maybe I'll have an idea. Pop this little nubbin out here. Sometimes the implications that can be had with just by putting something all the way out here, like what does that say? This thing's going down underground and coming out here. I'm bringing it in a little bit closer, but detail like that really does help. So it's almost become a little bit too cluttered, but that's okay. I think since the comparators became such a vital part of the exterior, we're going to remove it from the interior. Something maybe you should go over here. What we should do is, what's something that's always associated with aliens? Wow. When you speak and try and type at the same time, start to mess up. Yep, we're going there. So our alien friends who have crashed here clearly have some other motive in this. And I think, why is my campfire not, that I don't understand. Maybe, so campfire smoke has to go through the block directly above it. News to me. All right, so that is our alien crash site representation.